Hello everybody. This week's unit we're going to be talking about nuclear reactions. Unlike chemical reactions, nuclear reactions don't involve the rearranging of chemical bonds between atoms, but instead a rearrangement of the nuclei within an atom. And to talk about this, it is convenient for us to introduce a little bit of new notation for ourselves. Called the nuclide symbol. So a nuclide is just very similar to the elemental symbols that we've used before, with two important distinctions. Number one, we can write the nuclide symbol in this generic form, okay, where I don't specify exactly which element I'm talking about, and I introduce a variable for the atomic number and a variable for the atomic mass so that I can write some generic nuclide. The other important thing is that when we're dealing with nuclides and nuclear reactions, we're not really going to worry too much about the electrons, where the electrons are, or if we have enough to prevent any kind of charge or anything. We're just going to always assume that there is a sink of electrons that will be available to step in wherever we're going to need them to give us a neutral species. So, in this notation, the capital X is the elemental symbol. This is like a big C for carbon, boron, Fe for iron, or a big U for uranium, for instance. A is going to be our mass number, and as we've seen, this is going to be the number of protons plus the number of neutrons. And Z is going to be our atomic number or the number of protons. So an example of working with nuclide symbols of a problem would be what nuclide has 6 protons and 7 neutrons? So if it has 6 protons and 7 neutrons, our atomic mass number is going to be the number of neutrons plus the number of protons, or 13. And our atomic number is going to be the number of protons, or 6. 6 corresponds, if we look at our atomic or our periodic table, to the element carbon. So our nuclide symbol is going to be 13, 6 with a capital C for carbon. Obviously, saying carbon and 6 is kind of redundant because those two correspond to each other, so we'll often see it written just with the carbon symbol and the superscripted 13 to tell you that it's the isotope of carbon that has a mass number of 13. And I'm going to introduce a new way of writing this for inline text kind of situations, where we write out the element name carbon, introduce a hyphen, and then have a 13 after it to designate it as carbon 13.